Devoted as you respond to needs with just the right words and caring deeds. Dependable as you do your part, day in and day out with a giving heart. A wonderful poem on volunteering written by Vivian Freeman, Friendship Works. Assalamualaikum, a very good day and a huge welcome to all of our participants for today's webinar organized by Senior Sen entitled Volunteering for Community with Special Needs During Emergencies. Selamat datang and welcome again. My name is Suhaila Muhammad, Program Associate of Senior Sen, and I am your moderator for today. The reason why I shared the poem earlier is simply because it is an inspiring poem on volunteerism, and volunteering is indeed an act of rendering selfless service to a cause. Therefore, in this webinar, we want to share insights on how volunteering could change our lives and how it can empower everyone involved. We want to tell why volunteering is no longer just a nice hobby, but necessary indeed to start a life with meaning, skill sets, and quality human connections, especially for the community with special needs during emergencies. That said, I am absolutely thrilled to start with today's webinar, and I hope all of you are too. Before we begin with our speakers for today, allow me to thank the Head of Division of Training and Consultation of Senior Sen for her great effort and wonderful ideas for today's webinar. Thank you, Pomonisha Matsha. Also, thank you to the amazing team in Training and Consultation Division, as well as the Strategic Communication Unit of Senior Sen, who have been pouring their hearts out for today's webinar. Now, without further ado, it is my honor to introduce a person whose dedication and commitment for 26 years towards education, special educational needs, and the community with special needs that are highly admirable, not just among us here in Malaysia, but known among senior member countries as well. Today's webinar could not have been materialized if it had not been for her great support. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor to welcome the Director of Simusan Malaysia, Dr. Hajah Hanani Harun Rasid, to deliver her welcoming remarks. Please give a huge round of applause for Dr. Hanani. Doctor, the floor is yours.
Assalamualaikum and good day everyone. Thank you, Miss MC, Simusan Organizing Committee. Our speakers for today, Professor Dr. Edna H. Jalojod, Professorial Lecturer from University of Southeastern Philippines, Dr. Donnie Adams, Senior Lecturer from University of Malaysia, Miss Ilya Wardani, Psychologist, Volunteer, Parent with Special Needs Indonesia, Miss Nur Adilah Izzati Adnan, Volunteer from Malaysia, and to all participants from SIMU member countries. It is my pleasure on behalf of SIMUSEN to welcome all of you to this webinar titled Volunteering for Community with Special Needs During Emergencies. As we know, we are still amidst the pandemic. However, it is not a barrier for us to gain or seek knowledge. In this era of digitalization, I can say that nothing is impossible. We can gather to listen to our esteemed speakers without needing to travel. Therefore, I would like to congratulate all of you for your interest and effort to join today's webinar. I am very delighted to have all of you with us today. SIMUSEN is committed to actively promoting teachers' capacity building, increasing awareness, as well as fostering collaborative efforts among countries, institutions, and non-profit organizations for the benefit of special education community. This time around, SIMUSEN would like to create awareness and promote volunteerism for community with special needs during emergencies, especially in the difficult time like this pandemic. This webinar aims to facilitate enabling environments for volunteers serving in emergencies and how can we manage the influx of volunteers responding to emergencies both locally and internationally. The objectives of this webinar include: 1, to provide the community with an understanding of the importance of volunteering. 2, to encourage participation in volunteering for the community with disabilities. 3, to raise awareness on the benefit of volunteering. And 4, to enhance knowledge and skills in volunteerism. This webinar is expected to give impact greatly on the knowledge of students, teachers, parents, and community in promoting and supporting the spirit of volunteerism with the key aspects which are to mobilize and manage volunteers. Ladies and gentlemen, Albert Einstein once said, "Only a life lived for others is worth living." Volunteering, which is the willingness to aid others without financial gain, is a noble act. Therefore, I believe people from all walks of life should be involved in volunteering, as it offers many benefits. There was a study which found that voluntary work in later life is associated with lower self-reported cognitive complaints and a lower risk for dementia. Another study reported that people who volunteer not only feel stronger, but mentally and physically healthier. It also offers higher levels of happiness and self-satisfaction. During this pandemic, we can see that many volunteers are involved in helping people who are affected. The aid can be in many forms, such as money, basic needs, and labor. We don't need any specific reason to start volunteering. We do it because we are needed. Everyone is qualified to be a volunteer. However, we still need to be knowledgeable to be great volunteers and give our best to the community, especially when it involves emergency matters. On another note, I would love to take this opportunity to share that Simeo will be hosting our 4th International Conference for Special Education, Icse 2021, this coming 25th and 26th September 2021. This conference is a platform for knowledge exchange, dissemination of information, and networking among educators in the area of special education. Registration is free for all participants, and for more details, please visit our official Icse 2021 Facebook page. Before I end my speech, I would like to express my utmost appreciation to our speakers today for their time and commitment in ensuring this webinar is a success. To all participants, I hope this webinar will give beneficial insights about volunteerism in a way that will help individuals with special needs in our community. I hope this webinar can advocate volunteerism in our community and develop enthusiasm towards volunteering. Lastly, I would like to remind all of us that volunteers are not paid, not because they are worthless, but because they are priceless. Thank you so much. Have a good day. Assalamualaikum.
Thank you, Dr. Hanani, for your inspiring remarks. Now, allow me to share the briefing for today's webinar. Due to time limitations, the moderator will only choose a few questions for the speakers to answer. Therefore, we highly encourage that you wait until the speakers have completed their presentation in case the answers to your inquiries have already been mentioned during the presentation. In your question, please state your name, your institution or organization, who is the question addressed to, and followed by your question. For example, hi, my name is Suhaila from Simeo and I would like to ask Dr. Hanani a question. My question is, so on. The link to the evaluation form will be shared via chat box during the webinar. Webinar certificate will only be sent to participants who have completed the evaluation questions. The e-certificate will be sent to participants through email that has been registered within 14 working days. If you need further assistance, email us at webinar@simeosan.org. Also, I would like to encourage everyone here to follow us on our social media, on our Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, for more updates of our future programs. Moving on. Now, what if volunteering was one opportunity that could help you create the life you dreamed of? Imagine yourself as a change maker where you can overcome fears, break stereotypes, and even remove barriers. We have invited our first speaker, Dr. Donnie Adams, a senior lecturer at the Department of Educational Management, Planning and Policy, Faculty of Education, University of Malaya. He is the recipient of the University of Malaya's Bright Spark Scholarship, a special program to upgrade research and publications. Dr. Donnie Adams is also a candidate of AKEPT, Young Scholars Leadership Program, and University Malaya's Emerging Scholars Leadership Advancements Program, Emerald. He is an author and reviewer of Web of Science, ISI, Social Science Citations Index, and Scopus Journals, and the Editor-in-Chief for the International Online Journal of Educational Leadership, IOJEL. He is actively involved in research and development work towards the area of leadership in special educational needs and school-wide reformation of inclusive education agenda in Malaysia. Now, it is an honor to invite our first speaker, Dr. Donnie Adams. Doctor, how are you?
Hi, Puan Suhaila. I'm
Thank
well.
you.
Thank you very
Thank you
much.
for joining us, Doctor.
Thank you, Puan Suhaila. So a very good morning to everyone. Firstly, I would like to thank our moderator for doing an awesome job, Puan Suhaila. And also I would like to welcome and also acknowledge my fellow speakers this morning, Prof. Edna. We are meeting for the first time, Puan Elia, Puan Adila. I'm also looking forward. And most importantly, I would like to thank Dr. Hanani and also Simeo Sen for organizing such a timely and such a very important topic for all of us fellow enthusiastic volunteers and people who are passionate about our community with special needs. So I'm Donnie Adams from the University of Malaya, and I will be sharing with you for the next 20 minutes about volunteering. And specifically, we're going to look at community with special needs, especially during the emergency. So I believe that my projection is already up now, my slides, and you all are able to view it. So let us first start with the prominent question. What is volunteering? Volunteering is basically, to put it in very simple words, is an act or an activity or a service that we are willing to offer. We are willing to offer our time, we are willing to offer our skills towards an activity and towards a service. And the reason why we are doing this is because we want to ensure that whatever that we are contributing benefits the local community, benefits a particular group or society. And to make it even more simpler for us to understand, volunteering is about people doing good. So I just highlight that it's about us doing good. And we intend to do good, and we want to bring goodness to the community that we are volunteering. And this is a very nice quote by Thomas Jefferson. And he says that I believe that every human mind feels pleasure in doing good to another. So it's naturally within our human self that we feel cheerful, that we feel happy when we see joy in another person that we are helping, when we see appreciation in another person we are helping, and when we see growth in another person we are helping. So this in a way stimulates goodness in ourselves. This in a way stimulates joyfulness in ourselves. So I'd like to ask to our audience this morning, why do people volunteer? So we have understood that volunteer is about doing good, but why do people volunteer? So could any of the audience share with me, why do people volunteer? You can put your responses in the chat, and the moderator will be, Puan Suhaila, will be able to read out your answers. I'm really looking forward to your responses.
Okay, Doctor, I'm reading the chat box now.
Okay.
Ah, we have participants from Vietnam as well as from Malaysia, and we have Philippines. Thank you so
Wow.
much for joining us. Okay, so your question again, Doctor?
Why do people volunteer?
Okay, great question. Why do people volunteer? As for me, while waiting for the response by the participants, I would say I started volunteering because um, I had to at first because of uh, an assignment given by the lecturer. Okay, and after that, I found that this is my call. This shouldn't be because my lecturer says so, but I feel that self fulfillment, and I get that sort of like a reward, by the end of the day. So I would say I volunteer because I feel good about it. That I feel people appreciate me, and I feel that I'm needed in the community that I volunteer. So that would be my
Wonderful.
yeah.
So it's about feeling of appreciation, reward, and also happiness. So thank you, Puan Suhaila.
Thank you, Doctor.
The audience, anyone who is able to share? Okay, I can see that from Adila, it's fun. Okay, so our speakers here, Asli Sani is telling about self-satisfaction. So it's very similar to our moderator. How about the rest? Another one more answer.
We have from Mr. Louis France. He said they see a need that they care about. And we have,
Wonderful.
yeah, we have Miss Atika Adani. I felt good when helping people. That's great.
Wonderful. So there is a need and there I felt good. So we can see that some of the responses revolves around our feelings, where we feel joyful, we feel satisfied, and we feel that it's a highly rewarding activity. So some research has been done on why do people volunteer. And extensively, these are the some of the common answers that was generated and found among researchers. So firstly is people actually volunteer is to share and develop a skill. So they have a particular skill set. For example, that I'm someone who is very good in handicraft. I'm someone who is very good in baking, for example. So you have some mastery in some form of skill set, and you intend to share that skill set to the community. And in a way, when we join a community, in a way, it also helps us to develop other skill sets, so that maybe some skill sets that we don't have any particular mastery on, and we intend to learn and we develop these other skill sets along the way. And this is interrelated to the next one, which is called leadership skills. So sometimes when we join a non-governmental organization, NGOs, so when we join a community, the intention is for us to develop our own leadership skills. So maybe we've been assigned a task to organize a fundraising. Maybe we've been organized a task to organize donation drives. So maybe you have been organized a task to organize and coordinate an event, a fundraising event. So all this in a way helps us to practice our leadership skills. Number three, among the things that we have gathered is about just simply learning something new. You want to learn something new. For example, for myself, when I first volunteered during my teenage days, I used to do a lot of volunteer works. And one of the things that I gathered during my volunteering days was the art of convincing people to part with their money. So I was part of the NGO who is quite aggressive and quite active in terms of fundraising. And this NGO, they are raising funds to benefit people with HIV/AIDS, and they want to give treatment, they want to buy medication for these people. So we needed to do donation drives. We needed to have donation boxes in supermarkets, and we needed to convince people that what we are doing with a sandwich board, with a message board at the front and the back. So we needed to be convincing to people that they're happy to part away with their money, and whatever that we say will make or break that person from giving us a donation. So that is the art that I learned in terms of convincing people. And some people perceive as volunteering as just to be an agent of change. As what one of our participants said this morning, is about looking at the need in a particular society. And you find that society will benefit from certain things of your service, of your skills. So even though we will only play probably just a very small part, a minor part, but that makes a difference. Collectively, that makes a difference. And here, some people just want to do something different from their job. So we have a job, a 9 to 5 job, and some of us probably an odd hour job, but we just want to do something that is different from our job, something that we enjoy, something that brings smile, something not so formal. And number 6, we are looking at personal growth. So in terms of personal growth, sometimes volunteering helps us to grow as an individual. We become more mature thinkers. So we see different side of society. We see different side of lives. So for example, if we are in a position where we are living in a decent life, we are living in a comfortable life. But here, when we do volunteer works for marginalized community, for example, and we can see that their way of living perhaps is not as luxurious or not as comfortable as us. So that in a way develops our thinking into a more mature individual. It develops empathy in us, and also it develops our feelings to have empathy towards one another. And some people says, no, it's just about making new friends. I volunteer just to make new friends, to get to know new people, get to know new individuals. And some people says, nah, it's just for fun. I just want to do something just for fun, to make people happy, to make myself happy, and give me that satisfaction that I'm doing good for the society. And this is a quote from Elizabeth. volunteers do not necessarily have the time. They have the heart. So some people say maybe we are volunteering because we have a lot of time. Necessary. It's because we have the heart towards doing good. We have a heart towards reaching out to the society and meeting the needs of our society. But here comes a question from all of us. Who can volunteer? So basically, there's no set criteria on anyone who can volunteer. So basically, if you're a male or female, young, middle-aged, young at heart, if you're rich, you're poor, able-bodied or disabled, educated, illiterate, anything that falls within this, you are free to volunteer. So there's no set criteria. Or you must be rich, then you are able to volunteer. Or you must be only a female, then only you can volunteer. No such thing. Anyone from any sort of background are free to volunteer. But there is some expectation that comes with volunteerism. So when we talk about expectations, these are the sort of criteria that we look at some volunteers. So firstly, the volunteers must be person who is reliable and dependable. So if we give you a task, you are able to complete the task. If we assign you to come on a particular day, you are able to come on that particular day. And if we have given you a task to organize something, you are able to contribute towards the success of that event. So you must be a person that is reliable and dependable. And most importantly, when we join a society, an NGO, non-governmental organizations, we must, in a way, embrace the mission and value statement. We can't go against the NGO's mission and value statement. So we need to know what is the organization all about, what are their mission, what is their value statements, what are the one that cherish the most, why were they established in the first place, and we try to match those expectations and match those values within the organization. And here, we must be able to work with a strategic plan. So we know that when we organize events or webinars or fundraising events and all this, these require some strategic plan. So there's always plan A, plan B, plan C, plan D. So what happens if this don't work? What happens if this don't work? What happens if this works? How can we do better? So we must be able to work with a strategic plan. And when we work with a strategic plan, it must be respectfully done and it must be ethically done. So in this case, what it means by respectfully and ethically done. So we respect the values of the organization, we respect the community that we are serving, and it's done respectfully. We speak with respect, and we contribute respectfully to them. And I think that one of the most important criteria to be a volunteer is to understand the importance of confidentiality. There are many volunteers who say that sometimes we have this saying, what your left hand does, make sure your right hand don't know. So what it means by that is, when we do volunteer works, some people have the tendency to take photos and upload into social media and say, yeah, I'm donating to this person. And then you take the picture of the person that you're donating and you put it all over social media. So that in a way, breaches the confidential, that in a way breaches the trust of that person. So the person that is on the receiving end of your service and receiving end of your skills will not be very comfortable because they feel that they are being portrayed on a public domain. And one of the important criteria is ability to work as a team. So I give you about 6 criteria and 6 expectations of the volunteer. But some organizations, they say that, okay, yeah, this 6 is important, but there's one thing that we value the most. And what is that thing that we value most? We care. You have to be someone who cares. So if you have the value of caring and you care about someone, you are already in the right track, right? So you don't have to be someone who is brilliant, rich, beautiful, or perfect. You just need to have care, the value of care within you, and all other boxes will eventually tick into hand, right? So what are the types of volunteering? So this is the kind of questions that we will ask. Some of our audience might be wondering what kind of types of volunteering. So there are many types of ways that we can volunteer. You can do a charity volunteering, you can do a homeless, you can do a senior citizens volunteer work, you can do volunteer work in tutoring in schools, hospitals, food banks, mentoring, working with marginalized children in animal shelters. And the focus of our topic today will be volunteering for community with special needs. So how do we volunteer for this community with special needs especially? So basically, when we talk about volunteering, is a form of service. And when we talk about service, it's about giving life and giving our love to the individuals, to the society, to the group that we are volunteering. So when you talk about community with special needs. How do we start volunteering and how can we volunteer? So we need some guide, we need some reference. So I would like to share with all of you, these are some of the non-governmental organizations, NGOs in Malaysia, which you can get in touch with. So you have the National Early Childhood Intervention Council, we have Malaysian Care. So I've given you the contact number and the emails there and the website. You have Asia Community Service, Kiwanis Center, Kiwanis Down Syndrome, you have Handicapped Children's Center, you have the Bureau for Learning Difficulties, you have the Special Children's Society of Ampang, Rumah Amal Cheshire, you have Cats Enhancement, you have Bethany Home here, and you also have Society of Families with Persons with Learning Difficulties, Association of Learning Disabilities within Petaling District, you have United Voice, you have Spastic Children of Association of Selangor, and here you have the NASO, National Autism Society of Malaysia. You have We Rock the Spectrum Kids Gym. This is quite popular in Damansara. And you have also a parents group where if you have children with special needs, this group shares lots and lots of resources and lots of tips on how to raise a child with special needs, and also sharing of expertise are also in this group. You can look out for this group. You have the Special Education Network in Malaysia, SENIM, and this is a NGO that myself is very much active in, Persatuan Pendidikan Khas Kebangsaan, National Association of Special Education Malaysia. And this society does a lot of volunteer work. They do a lot of activities that is very much relatable to special education. So you can check out this website, and there is a membership there. You can email to the person in charge and they will be able to attend to your query. But these are services and organizations, non-governmental organizations that we can participate in. But for me, apart from participating in NGOs, I am an advocate of creating opportunities for volunteerism. What do I mean by that? I organize events, I organize projects, and these projects are very much centered among the community of special needs. So this is a project, it's an award-winning project by University Malaya. So University Malaya is one of the universities that's quite active in community engagement and in terms of volunteerism. So this is a project that I organized with them, and it won an award within University Malaya. And in this project, I think Puan Sohaila, maybe you can send the link to our participants so they are able to view the YouTube link after this talk. So this is a seminar or a workshop that we did for students with special needs, targeting specifically for schools. And what we can see here are some pictures of the activities. These activities are basically done at home. So what we did is we trained the parents, we called the parents to come for the program in school, and we trained them on how to practice simple exercises among their children, because students with special needs, it's rare to see them outside. I'm not sure why, but some of our parents are, they in a way they try to keep the children at home, and they don't want to bring them out to the society. And because this happens, the children's lack proper exercise, they lack proper walking balance and all this. So we did this project in terms of emphasizing the right exercise technique to them, so they are able to practice this exercise at a very minimal cost. In a way, it helps them in terms of their movements and in terms of their balancing. And these were the schools that was involved in that project. We have about 5 schools, and this project has received about 7 major media coverages. And these are 2 of the medias that I'm showing you right now. And there is another project which is very much related to nature. And this can be practiced absolutely free of charge, and there's no costing. You can get your child to any nature, and you can do a project such as you can do such projects like this, and you can get volunteers to come to be part of the project. And we did this project with 4 schools specifically. And what are this project all about? And this is a very simple activity. We did treasure hunt in there. We did, if you notice in the second picture, you see that a child is trying to walk on a pathway, and the child is balancing something on his head. So basically, you can use the facilities and nature and the environment of the nature to do even simple exercises. So if you see on the pathway, it's a colored path. There's a pink colored path, and the child is walking along the pink colored path, balancing something on his head. And here you can see that a parent is actually doing an activity that they collect some collages, they're doing some collages and they collect some natural resources and they're doing a picture and collage among them. So this is something that you can do within the community that you're in, organized projects. So for me, apart from just volunteering, I create opportunities for volunteerism. And this project has received 5 major media coverage so far in the press. So as part of my session this morning, I would like to share with you, there is this book that it's been written on raising your child with special needs. So if you are someone who are passionate about special needs and you would like to know more about special needs, there's this book here and it's a special discount for all of our SimioSen participants for today. You can get in touch with me. And these are some of the contents within the book that we are looking at specifically all categories of special needs and explaining what are special needs children all about, what are autistic children, what are dyslexic children, and also some of the activities that you can do as part of volunteering in the community. So that's it for me. And I will leave you with this very precious quote by Sherry Anderson that is also mentioned by Dr. Hanani earlier. So as volunteers, we don't get paid, not because that we are worthless. It's not because we don't have any other things to do or not because we don't have any value, but it's because volunteers, we are a group of special people that is priceless. There is no particular value that can be attached to a service that you can give to a community with love, with care. All right, so thank you everyone, and I welcome Q&A now. Thank you.
Dr. Donnie, thank you so much for your valuable insight. Okay, I would like to share some of the feedback from our participants for today's webinar. We have Ms. Azira Izzati Adnan that says, volunteer to gain more knowledge and get to know other people that share the same interests. And we have Ms. Kalista Maya, volunteer to help people who need my help to learn and get more experience. And we have Mr. Santosh Kumar, to help people who are in need. We have also Ms. Khadija Ishaq. Helping needies is a rewarding task. Well said. Ms. Sabarina Jamaluddin. Volunteering strengthens our community, brings people together. And we also have Rio Fernandez. It's awesome to volunteer. We get to meet different people and learn from them as well. Okay, now I would like to share the question received from our participant for today. Miss Miss I am Ing. Can speakers share some examples of volunteer activities that can be done during this pandemic of COVID-19? Is it online, Dr. Donnie?
Yeah. So thank you, Ponsuela, and also to our participant who asked that question. So this, what kind of activities that we can do is very much dependent on the skills that we have. So for example, there are some of us, children with special needs, they are very much skill-based. Even in our school curriculum in Malaysia, especially, the curriculum is very much on skill-based, life skill-based. And the curriculum can even be as something as simple as how to button the shirt, how to button your shirt, how to comb your hair. So this is something that we find that is very basic, but this is the curriculum that we have. And the reason why we have this curriculum is to train our children with special needs on life skills so that they are independent. They are able to gain the necessary skills and be independent individuals themselves. So the skills, what kind of activities? For example, if you have skills in baking, for example, you can even do a live webinar, for example, or do a live video sharing, and you can even record a YouTube and share you're baking something and share it to the organization. So I think that first thing that perhaps you could do is look through the list that I have shared. We have an extensive list of organizations. Get in touch with them and say that you are interested to volunteer, and this is what you can do for them, and this is your strengths, and they will somehow find a place and find a means on where they can match your expertise with their values. So I will suggest that the best place to start, the first place to start, is to get in touch and let them know, I'm here, I'm at your service, and what can I do to serve the community?
Well said, Dr. Donnie. Thank you so much for your feedback. If you have any question for Dr. Donnie, you can share in the chat box and I'll share with Dr. Donnie your question. In the meantime, back to the earlier question on online activities that can be conducted during the pandemic. So you can see that a number of organizations are tapping into virtual volunteering, where there are roles that can be carried out from the comfort of their home and their own time. But then on the other hand, what is your opinion on this kind of volunteering, the virtual volunteering? Is it impactful, or are people doing it simply because they just want to fill up the time, Doctor?
Yeah, I think that the event, the videos that we do, the content curation that we do, we have to be mindful of the audience. For example, the attention span of a child with special needs is very, very less, and you need to be able to capture their attention in the first 8 seconds. So if you're not able to capture their attention in the first 8 seconds, high probability they might lose interest altogether. So we need to be mindful about the audience that we are doing and what is the kind of video or presentation that we are doing that will capture. So have a lot of colors, for example, have a lot of hands-on activities, and most importantly, ensure that the activities that we do is being accompanied by the parent. So the parent is there to help the child, so that you have a person that's helping you on the other side of the screen to make that activities more impactful and more effective as well.
Okay, Doctor, thank you so much for your feedback. If you have any more questions for Dr. Donnie, Doctor, your mic is muted.
No, no, no. I'm okay.
Okay. Okay, Doctor. Thank you so much for your session. It was very insightful. And yes, basically volunteering has been an activity that has been done way before, and it should be carried out, especially during these tough times, and especially for the community with special needs. So, Doctor, thank you so much. I
Thank
would
you,
like to
Pacanbaru.
invite, yes, thank you. I would like to invite our next speaker, Miss Noadila Izzati binti Adnan, an accountant, also an avid volunteer from Malaysia who has been actively involved in volunteering since she was 18 and passionate about children development, especially children with special needs. She strongly believes that it takes a nation to raise a child, hence why she loves to share her journey with people around her. And one of her amazing achievements in volunteering is that she was the head of module development in her previous NGO work, Play and Pray. I'm certain that module was indeed beneficial for all of the students involved. We look forward to your sharing on volunteerism and your motivations, the hows and the whys. Without further ado, please welcome Miss Nur Adila. Miss Nur Adila, the floor is yours.
Hi, Assalamualaikum, and hi everyone. Thank you to the moderator for the introduction. My name is Adila and I am the founder of Capable Malaysia. So, I started my volunteering journey when I was 18. I was still a college student in a university in KL. And Play and Pray is actually my first playground, as I like to call it, because before this I was just a normal volunteer in Play and Pray, but after a while they promoted me to do the module development for the event. So in doing module development, I am responsible to create the activity for the event, and coming from an accounting background, this is actually a challenge for me because I wasn't sure how to build the module based on the activities that are suitable for the kids. Because I was so passionate about children's development, I managed to overcome these challenges. And during Play and Pray, I met a few special needs children, and I found that they are comfortable to be around me compared to other volunteers. So after a few years in Play and Pray, because I love meeting new people, so I decided to also join other NGOs to get to know more on how they do things in their NGOs, like how they manage the events and what kind of community that they are supporting, what kinds of problems they are um, trying to to find solution for. And yeah, and in 2017, when I was in Sunday University doing my ACCA, I joined a club called Sunday for Sustainable Development Goals. And this is where I am being exposed to more communities out there, and I choose to stand for special needs community. And because in Sunway SGD Goals Club, we always ask ourselves, what can I do to make the world a better place? What is the value that I have in me in order for me to become a change maker, in order to make the world a better place for certain communities that are affected. So looking back at the things that sparks my interest on special needs community, I actually has a relative that have autism. And back then, during my high school, autism is a new word for me, and I don't really understand the meaning of autism, because every time when I ask this relative parent, they will say to me that, oh, these kids have illness, but to me, I couldn't really understand, because he looks fine to me, and at the time I don't really know about special needs until one day I decided to watch this TV series in Astro called The Parenthood, and one of the children in this series has Asperger's syndrome. Um, that is where I started to know more about autism and their daily struggles in life. So, uh, after a few years being in Play and Pray, I found that Play and Pray is already my comfort zone. Like I said, it is my first playground, and I love to be around people in Play and Pray. But somehow I know that I wanted to do something different. I wanted to do something more, and I start to do my own research on others communities in Malaysia, and I found out that there are several NGOs in Malaysia that are doing things for special needs community. So, uh, when I was doing all this research on special needs community, this is one of the things that I noticed. Um, because all this while I've been volunteering for other communities as well, and there's less people that I meet that have special needs or people with different abilities. And I know that, there's this huge gap between our community and the community of special needs. And throughout my years in Sunway universities, I always join the fundraising activities or talks on spreading awareness on special needs. However, during these events, I never met anyone that have different abilities. So this actually become one of the reasons why I started to build Diffable, because I want to meet the people that have special needs in person instead of just reading and knowing about them through slides and everything. So at the same time, before doing Diffable, I met a few parents that have special needs kids to learn more about them and to understand what it is like being a person with special needs, or being someone that have a family members that have special needs. And surprisingly, most of them answered this question in similar answer. And there's two things that really uh, affects me and up until today, is these two things that they said. Most of the parents said the same thing, are the acceptance of other people's towards their children. So meaning that they don't really accept that their children are having special needs, or they are different from other kids. So this acceptance really affects me up until this now. And the second thing is the parents worries that what will happen to their kids if one day they are no longer around. So these really questions that really triggers me, like what that we should do as a community to help these parents so that they feel comfortable to leave this world knowing that okay, there will be someone who will be taking care of my children, who will be there for my children, who will care and love for my children as how I care and love for them. My source of inspiration. These three kids are really given me the start and to motivate me to do differable, because uh all this while doing volunteering, we have that, what doctor says, uh we want something to do during our free times or whatnot, but what help us to move forward and to keep going and doing voluntary, you must have that uh big why of you doing volunteering. So this is my big why. The first one is Hana Hazika. So I call Hana Hazika as my magical unicorn. Hana was the first person with cerebral palsy that I met, and knowing her is really a humbling experience for me. Because of Hana, I wanted to do something more for people like her. Because of her, I know that there's something in me, there's a value in me that I can bring out and to help this community of special needs. Another two kids is Nadia and Mikael. They are actually siblings, and I stumbled upon this book called My Name is Nadia and I Have Autism. Also, my name is Mikael. I have cerebral palsy. I stumbled for these two books in his book post when I started to research more about special needs. So I bought this book from their mothers because I want to gain more understanding about the special needs community. And somehow, uh, I became friends with their mothers. We became good friends, and I get to meet them in person and bring them out for a day on my special day. This is Mikael and Nadia. They're really fun to be with. So, what is difficult? Difficult is actually derived from the word different ability, because in difficult, we believe that everyone is unique. Even our fingerprints are different from one another. We don't have the same fingerprint as other person, and we are all different, not less from one another. For example, I am good in certain areas, but I'm not good in all those arts areas. I cannot sing, I cannot dance, or I cannot draw well. Um, but some other people, they can do that. So that's mean we are different, right? Doesn't mean I'm less than another person just because I couldn't draw. An open door. So when I started Livable, a lot of people don't believe in my idea of doing things for special needs. They call me crazy. They say that this is a hard thing to do. No one actually do this for special need community when they don't have these family members in that have special needs. So I found it difficult with two other friends who believe in my crazy ideas. And Alhamdulillah, I stumbled upon this FB post posted by Puan Didi from Autism Malaysia, where they wanted to find volunteers to help them babysitting the kids while the parents are having their sharing session. And I think like in Livable, we wanted to close that gap by building the bridge between our community and special needs community. And by doing collaborations with special needs community, it creates more balance in terms of that. And so we started to do more collaborations with other NGO as well. We call one of our project is a day with Diffable, where we collaborated with a lot of parent support groups and also others NGOs to actually be with uh, people with special needs and just to learn more about them by having this hands-on experience and to spend a day with them to know, okay, what is exactly autism looks like, what is exactly cerebral palsy looks like, or other special needs looks like. And throughout this event, um, we ask the parents to share with our volunteers about what is autism, what are the challenges that they are facing in their life, and what are the things that we as a community can help the parents or the families that have special needs to be to be included in our societies. This is one of our biggest collaborations with Autism Malaysia. Autism Malaysia is actually a parent support group for people that have autism. Next, we also get the chance to collaborate with Jenis Kurnia. Jenis Kurnia is actually an early intervention center located in KL for kids that have autism. So their focuses on kids that have autism and also other disability as well. Next, we also get the chance to collaborate with Kami Playgroup. Kami Playgroup is actually a project to set up a playgroup in a mosque in PJ that focuses on helping kids that are below 7. So they act like early intervention on the weekend. And these kids are really, they really enjoy being here, meeting friends in a small circle of group. And we as a volunteer, the things that we learn here is really a great thing because, for example, the body stimulations or body awareness and the skills like fine motor skill or gross motor skill, these are the skills that we actually learn in school as well. But we never realized how important it was until we met these kids that have difficulty in doing these tasks that are we think they are simple for us, but it was really challenging for them. So it was really an eye-opening session for every volunteer that come and join us in Kami Playgroup. This is an ongoing collaborations that we have, which is the Autism Cafe project. Autism Cafe project is actually a training space for youth to come before they start joining the working phase. So as you can see here, what our volunteer did was we became a friend to them. Like before this, you see all the activities that we've done is actually focuses on smaller kids where we could see how they are in their struggles of doing things, of meeting new people. But with Autism Cafe project, we get to know that okay, these youth have also difficulties in certain areas and especially in terms of their communication skills. So they are scared to talk to certain people because they don't know how to read people's face or to, just to create that conversation with them. So what we do is just to be a friend to them and just to make conversation to them. And also because Autism Cafe newly opened a new cafe in Daman, we also help the volunteers to manage the cafe by, just how to serve the customers, how to key in, how to plating, and all that. Yeah. And lastly, we also managed to do one project with GAPS, which is the Gabungan Anak-Anak Palsi Cerebral. GAP is a support group for people with cerebral palsy, and because of pandemic, we couldn't really do more events with them, but it was really fun just to spend time with people with cerebral palsy, because even though they are physically challenged, we could see that during the World Cerebral Palsy Day, we all had fun. We joked around with each other. We shared things together, and yeah, all the volunteers had fun during the day. Uh, Obviously, as a new project, or as someone who are new to special needs communities, we do have challenges. The first challenges is to look at the world from their perspective, because we only spend a small amount of time with these special needs kids or special need youth. We couldn't really get the whole experience of looking at the world in their perspective. And also because of most of our volunteers, they are not really from an educational background or special need background. So we have this personal commitment limitations where they could come just a few times with us, and then they couldn't come anymore, and we couldn't force them because they are volunteers. And because of these limitations, we also have a limitation to instill empathy inside the volunteers, because empathy takes a longer time for you to get. You cannot just spend one day with someone with special needs and um get this empathy going from yourself. These are some of the feedback that we get from our volunteers. As I said before, um, during the event, we always ask the parents to share with us about their experience, about their struggles, and what can we do to help them. So for our volunteers, they get to know more about these special needs, and they understand more about them, and they know how to deal with them, how to communicate with them, and this create more acceptance um, for special needs, and for a few volunteers that this experience that they get from a day with Diffable is really a humbling experience for them, and they gain more compassionate toward other people, because they could see that other people are being challenged on things that they are being blessed with, and this create more compassion inside of them. And also other volunteers as well, they became they became advocates of special needs, where they spread more awareness on accepting people with special needs or different ability by making projects or assignments in their universities. As you can see here, this is all the products of their assignments, and before they do this assignment, they come to me and ask me, okay, what can I do in order for me to spread more awareness on special needs community. So actually, there's a lot more things that the volunteers have done in order to spread more awareness on acceptance for special needs community. Like the moderator said, I strongly believe that it takes a nation to raise a kids, and I know that as a volunteer, uh, after all these years of experience, I know that everyone has something to contribute to the community, to their societies. It doesn't matter what kinds of person you are or what kind of background are you from. You must be having something in yourself that other people would need help with. So yes. And our hopes in playing in sorry, our hopes in Diffable are uh, no one should left behind, because the world is for everyone. Uh, Throughout these programs that we do, we create more awareness on acceptance. We want more people to be treated the same way as we are, although they are different, and they have these needs that we can help with. Um, they should not be treated less than us. See? And also to give them the opportunity, to give them the the space for them to be included in our society, because the world is for everyone, you know, like you it's not just for yourself, and it's a lot more fun when you meet people with different things that you have. Thank you. These are the few NGOs that I work with. You can follow them in Facebook. First one is Autism Safety Project, GAPS, Jenis Kunia, and Autism Malaysia. They also open up the space for volunteers. So if you like to join them for volunteering, you can contact them through Facebook. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Nadila, for sharing on your wonderful involvement in volunteering. We sure hope that your sharing will inspire more and more people out there to get involved in volunteerism as well. Okay, we have a feedback from the chat box in our YouTube. Miss Ili Shafia, it says, "Hi Adila, maybe your group can join events with Best Buddies Malaysia." And she continues saying, Best Buddies Malaysia organized events with ID kids and regular people. They also paired and matched ID individuals with regular individuals to become friends and mentor. So I hope Miss Ili Shafia can get in touch with Miss Noradila. And also we have a comment from Miss Julie Ann that says, we are all different but not less with one another. I agree to that. We all have our own unique capabilities. And we have a request from I am Ing. That's request for your Facebook. Can I have No Adila's Facebook? So yeah.
Then I'll type in the chat box.
Okay, thank you. So do you have any question for Miss No Adila? Okay. So I would like to ask one question to Miss Adila. In your opinion, what makes volunteering for a community with special needs more meaningful? What makes it more meaningful?
What makes it more meaningful?
Yeah.
Uh, because like before this, I've been volunteering with other community as well, and being with special needs really it helps me to like I said, it's really humbling experience for me. It makes me appreciate more things in life, you know, and to know that I'm being blessed with a lot of things in life, and what can I do to make others feel comfortable to live as what I am right now. Yeah, that is, I think, the most memorable thing for me.
Thank you. Thank you, Miss Adila. Okay, we have a question from Thomas Chiu Senkai. Uh, Hi, greetings. I'm Thomas from Malaysia. Do you carry out the activities together with their parents?
Yes, in some of the event, we carry out the activities together with the parents. For example, during the big events like Genius Kumia events or Autism Malaysia events, and also in gaps, we work together with the parents in order to manage the event. And some of the volunteers will become the admin sites, and some of the volunteers will help with the kids as well. I hope it answered the question.
Okay, thank you, Miss Adila. Okay, we have a question from Facebook. Okay, from Nurul. Hi, good day. Such an inspirational session. Is it hard to do volunteering during this pandemic? And what does it take to become one of the volunteers? And also one from Miss Amira, also from Facebook. how has the pandemic affected the projects, for example, Autism Cafe project, and what the community and what can we do to best support it during this period, as well as upcoming ones, if any, plan? Thank you for the question from Facebook.
Can you repeat the first question?
The first one,
Uh-huh.
okay, what does it take to become one of the volunteers, and is it hard to volunteer during this pandemic?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and another one from Amira says, how has the pandemic affect the project, like Autism Cafe project and the rest of the projects that you are involved in? And what can the community do to best support them during this period?
Okay.
All
So
right.
the first question, what it takes to be one of the volunteers, you just have to have the heart, and you can just come and be with us, because most of our volunteers, they too don't have the experience being with special needs. So when they come, they'll be like, oh, what can I do? What should I do? And it's really an eye-opening session for them to during this pandemic. Yes, it is really hard for us that we had to put stop to all of our programs, because they are really vulnerable communities. So somehow that we really have to put a stop to all of our programs, because we don't want to get everyone affected by the virus. And to answer the question on the pandemic effects on the projects, one of them that I know of is Autism Cafe project. Because before this, we during Ramadan we managed to open the shop, but now we have to close the shop because we couldn't let anyone to dine in. And yeah, Uncle Adli has actually done a great job in sustaining the cafe, because all the kids are actually at home. They are still doing the cooking and baking everything, but from their comfort house. And how can the community support them is, for now, as I know, Autism Cafe is actually doing fundraising for them to prepare food for the low income community, and also for the frontliner in the hospital. So one way that you can support them is by giving them funds for them to cook for the society. And this is also, like I said, the community can give this opportunity to them, by ordering food for them, by spreading out the word that they are doing things for community as well. And this is also the thing that I say. Everyone actually has something to contribute, and although they have special needs, although they have different ability, they too help our frontliners by giving out food to them. Yes. Um,
Thank you so much, Miss Noadila. Thank you so much for your inspiring session. Okay, now I would like to move on to the next speaker. Okay, for the other questions that we don't have enough time to answer the other questions, so perhaps we can use it for the other speaker, for the next speaker. This next speaker is from our neighboring country, Indonesia. Hello, Indonesia.
Hello, hi from Indonesia.
Okay, if any of our participants here from Indonesia, do share with us in the chat box which part of Indonesia you're from. Okay, we definitely look forward to visit your beautiful country once the pandemic is over, inshallah. So now I'm delighted to invite our next speaker, Mrs. Elia Wardani. People usually call her Aya, and she is a lecturer in the Faculty of Psychology and Early Childhood Education Department. Her background is Magister of Children's Clinical Psychology from the University of Indonesia. She has 3 beautiful children, with her first daughter is a child with Down syndrome. Mrs. Aya has an interest in volunteering since 2004 when the tsunami hit Aceh. Her husband, who originated from Aceh, gave her the opportunity to do her volunteering activities there. With her background as a psychologist and a mother of child with special needs, she always tries to raise awareness and support families and children with special needs everywhere she lives. Now she will share her experience in volunteering in the community with special needs. Without further ado, please welcome Mrs. Aya. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Suhaila. Good morning, everyone. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. It's raining here, but hopefully everything will be fine. Thank you for the opportunity. It's an honor for me, actually, for the opportunity to participate in this webinar. And actually, hearing the experience from Adila, wow, it's blowing up my mind, and it's very good experience. And I tried to share my volunteering journey this time, and as mentioned before, I have had an interest in volunteering when the tsunami hit Aceh. Let me share my slide first. Okay. Okay, can you see the slide? Okay. Everyone see my slide? Suhaila? Okay. Let me
Yes,
start.
we are
As
able to see your slide.
mentioned before, I have an interest in volunteering when tsunami hit Aceh in 2004. At that time, I just graduated and got my psychologist certificate and married to a Chinese man. And when I went to Aceh, I met with a lot of volunteers worldwide. And Alhamdulillah, I have the opportunity to assist some children and women who lost their family in the tsunami. And then even not for an extended period, but the experience convinced me to do more for others and participate in volunteering seriously. And then at that time, I was living Balikpapan, East Kalimantan. And after I came back from Aceh, I found out that I got pregnant, and my first daughter was born in 2006, and she has Down syndrome. I have privilege to live in several places in Indonesia, in Kalimantan, Sumatra, Java, and I found a fact that for people with special needs, there are still minimal facilities, especially for the early intervention. At that time, I have to back and forth from Balikpapan to Jakarta to for my daughter's medication, for the rehabilitation, for early intervention. But along the journey, I met wonderful people, therapists, psychologists, pediatrician, a lot of wonderful people, and I learned a lot. And after that, I can see that in reality, in our community, there are still a stigma for people like my daughter as a person with no future. I At the time I feel like why people have that kind of stigma, and then I see the fact that in our culture or in our community, people still think that having Down syndrome in family is a curse. And I have a spirit to unstigmatize that, and I keep thinking, what can I do? And from the situation, as a psychologist, I and my colleague try to discuss and try to initiate something. This is my daughter with Down syndrome when she was a baby, and I have belief, as Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said, the best of people are those that bring the most benefit to the rest of mankind. That's the spirit I have. And then from the situation, and then I tried to initiate something like children's center, as I said, my daughter is my inspiration, and I have an objective at that time, because I also found that many parents with special needs in Balikpapan come to me and told me that many, when they come to preschool ages, and many special needs parents are often confused because the school refused their children because of the condition. At that time, the concept of inclusive education is still new. So people with special needs has no room for education. People still think that they have no future. Why should they go to school? And then I have the objective, because I don't want my daughter to face that kind of reality. So I try to create a secure and conducive social space for disabilities to interact and having activities. At that time, we built, I and my colleagues psychologists, we built a psychology center, and as a part, we have a children's center, and at that time, we accept many childrens to play, socialize, and learn with the concept of inclusion. Yeah, at that time, I just want to facilitate my daughter to live in inclusive world and have an opportunity, and then some people with some family with special needs join us. There are many children with special needs come to the center and play with my daughter and many other friends, such as ADHD, autism, speech delay, a sensory problem, also another Down syndrome, or children with behavioral and emotional issues. Just play, and without any payment fee or cost, because most of the children came from low-income families, but we have fun at that time, and I can see my daughter can socialize and make friends. It's beneficial for her and also for her friends. So along the way, from my journey with my daughter, I always try to promote the importance of early intervention for the children with special needs. Nevertheless, in 2006 in Balikpapan, the fact is there were only 4 therapy centers, no specific communities for special needs. It's including the government hospital. For that, I initiate inviting therapists to volunteer and share their knowledge and best practice to help parents practice at home. So they share how to stimulate their children at home, so they can use instrument or tools they have at home to optimize their children's potential. So I have believed that the best therapist is the people with special needs parents, especially mother. And in 2010, okay, this is the picture of many children in our children's center. We have fun at the beach at that time. We sing a song and just play sand play activities, just have fun. And they also bring the family, and we become a family, a big family of the children's center. But in 2010, my family and I moved to Pacanbaru in Riau province, in the middle of Sumatra Island. At that time, after we moved, because I have a baby, I decided to become a full-time mother, and sometimes I volunteer for the social project in the camp where we live. It's like volunteering for charity project, or providing food, something like that. Then when my first daughter reached 7 years, so I researched inclusive schools in Pacanbaru. I came to more than 20 elementary schools, but they were reluctant to accept her for a reason. They have no resources to assist students with special needs. So at the time, I have an option, homeschooling or what? And then, alhamdulillah, I found a school, an international school in Pacanbaru. It's the only option we have at that time because they have special needs department, something like special education department. So, so she attends that school, and I also learned from that we are responsible for promoting inclusive education as a part of our society. So at that time also, I've tried to reach some communities to raise awareness, but it's not easy because inclusive or people with special needs, it's just like personal area, and people won't touch or make an engagement with us, especially with the family at that time. Yeah, and then I got something in my mind. At that time, I work as a part-time lecturer in psychology faculty. There are 4 university who has a psychology faculty in Pacanbaru, and I also in 2015 built a psychology center, the same as in Balikpapan Psychology Center. So I initiate to open a Down Syndrome Information Center because that's what needed. And in 2015, I tried to invite all therapy centers in Pacanbaru and my psychologist college and students council from several universities in my place. And we have a meeting, we have a discussion. At the first time, it's like, what happened? What will we do? But with that collaboration, we commit to raise awareness and establish the trisomy 21 community. The objectives are first, building social awareness and support for people with disabilities at that time, especially Down syndrome, because there are support group for autism also. And second, promoting and building external secure and conducive social space for disability to interact and having activities. So we collect data from the special education or SLB and therapy centers in Pacanbaru and invite all people with Down syndrome with their family to celebrate Down Syndrome Day in 2015. Surprisingly, without any supporter or sponsors, we worked together. The event was attended by 350 people. It's beyond our imagination, and 90 of them were people with Down syndrome. We collaborate as a volunteer. All of us are volunteer. Even we make our own T-shirt and we pay for it to celebrate with them. Okay, it's the power of collaboration. Okay, this is the event. Some photos from the event. We have fun and we know each other as a family. We also provide information about Down syndrome. We make campaign. You can see the movie in this YouTube link for the event. And this is all of us, the volunteers, across profession, psychologists, therapists, also students from universities, and there are also a storyteller, and many people just come and join us as a volunteers at the time. Okay, after the event, it's just not stop at the event. We continue. We made collaboration also with the therapy centers, and pediatrician from several hospitals, we made an information booklet about Down syndrome. Why Down syndrome? Why not other special needs? The fact in Indonesia in 2012, the Down syndrome population reached 15% of the world population. It's a big population, and the stigma is still there. So we try to raise awareness and get them out to 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 raise that to promote that they have the same right, they have the same opportunity. Yeah, it's still a big work, but at least we start with something. Okay, and then there's a booklet complete with the list of therapy center in Pacanbaru, and we correspondence with several hospitals, pediatricians, children's psychologists, and special education to let them know there are a community named Trisomy 21 community who care for Down syndrome, and it was beneficial because volunteers can visit like when someone there's a new family and a new mother of a Down syndrome baby come, and then the hospital or the volunteers will tell us, and then we can make a visit to her and support her, or if it's not allowed, we can send her a booklet information and let her know that she is not alone, and she will be supported at that time. So the student council from several universities also collaborated. They made street campaigns or seminars to raise awareness and had contests for people with special needs, not just Down syndrome, but other special needs also. This is the campaign in the mall. We have booth in the mall, and we share and we raise awareness there. And this is one of the seminars. Okay, another volunteering I do is at that time I have opportunity to join and participate in a class inspirasi. It's inspirational class. It's one day. I become a teacher of elementary school and volunteering to be a teacher. So at that time, I share about my profession. It's a part of career education to the students, and I share about my my profession and also share about the diversity and let them know about they have friends with special needs. It's fun. Okay. The other thing is to support the inclusive society. We also built an agent of change children. So it's not just the children, but also with the family. It's a program to support children to have activities outside of school and learning about diversity. It's just the continue of the children's center in Balikpapan. The children is growing, and they have a better knowledge about diversity. Okay. This is also the project I volunteering a campaign for anti-bully, stop bullying campaign in Pacanbaru. I made the content, and my husband loved to design, and he made the design. So we share about this campaign everywhere we go at that time. We share the flyer so people will understand more about this term, stop bullying. Okay, and then in 2017, my family and I moved to Bandung. It's West Java area. We faced a different fact that the government already implement the inclusive society concept. So it was easier for me to find inclusive school and treat others equally. So the society is friendly to special needs, more friendly to special needs, and there are many projects for special needs and a lot of community who care about special needs in Bandung. But it doesn't mean I stopped volunteering. I took time these years to learn and take course or workshop on special education or people with disabilities, and focus myself to learn more about families with special needs. I also write a book about my journey as a mother of a Down syndrome girl. Hopefully it will launch soon. And for community services in 2018, I participate as a volunteer for POTAS. POTAS is Association for Parents with Down Syndrome, centrally in Jakarta, but they have POTAS Jawa Barat in Bandung. So I took part as a counselor for families and parenting programs. During this pandemic situation, the focus is my objective of the volunteering is to advocating and empowering family to promote resilience during the pandemic, because people with special needs affected by this situation, and beside the online webinar talk, I do the online webinar or Instagram live talking about family strength and development of the people with Down syndrome. Now I also open free online consultation and group counseling for family with special needs, especially family with Down syndrome. Okay, here's the counseling consultation event in Down syndrome day, and I also participate in cooking class for the Down syndrome children, and also assist running event for Down syndrome. And this is one of the sharing session for free. And I also interviewed by a local TV talking about inclusive education, and especially about IEP, Individual Educational Program. Okay, I will close this presentation with a story. A few days ago, I got a WhatsApp message. A young mother of 3 months baby with Down syndrome just found out about her second pregnancy. She still struggles with her baby's condition and has no accurate information about Down syndrome. She's very young, 22 years old, and she struggled to accept the condition, and also she's afraid she will have another child with the same situation, with the same condition with her first child. After we talk, after we discuss about her fear, her challenge, her opportunity, I realized that volunteering allows me to touch other lives and also learn about life itself. So maybe I cannot change the world, but when I can change someone's mindset, someone's perception about her strength, about her opportunity, her challenge, and accept that, it means a lot to me. So there's a word, Volunesia. I found it in internet, and it's true that that moment when you forget you are volunteering to help change lives because it's changing yours. It's true indeed. Okay, here's my contact. You can find me on Instagram, Facebook, and also WhatsApp, and can through me by email. Okay, terima kasih. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Back to you.
Terima kasih, Mrs. Aya. I think the last slide is not, okay, there it is. Okay, that's your contact details for Mrs. Aya. Thank you, Mrs. Aya, for sharing on your profound sharing and wonderful involvement in volunteering. We sure hope that your sharing will inspire more and more people out there to get involved in volunteerism as well. I would like to read a comment from one of our viewers in YouTube, Miss Juliza Zakaria, who says that parents are the dearest, earliest, and nearest person to the disabilities. Thank you so much for that, Miss Juliza. And then I also have one question here, which was asked earlier, but still applicable to our current speaker. It's from Tuan Haji Zulkarnain Wahab. He asked, for a first timer, how do we prepare ourselves, physical and mind, to join as a volunteer? Mrs. Aya?
Actually, when you have opportunity, just grab it. Because we never know what to do. Sometimes we have no idea, what can I do? Just grab the opportunity and you will find a way and enjoy the process and you will love volunteering. That's all I can say. Yeah, just grab the opportunity if you have opportunity to do volunteering. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Aya. Yeah, just grab it when when you see there's an opportunity, just help out. Thank you, Mrs. Aya. Next, our fourth speaker is from the Philippines. Kamusta, Prof? Anyone here from the Philippines? Let me see you in the chat box. Come and say hi to us and tell us where you're from. We look forward to be back in Philippines again, hopefully soon. Now, about Prof. Dr. Edna Jalot-Jod. Prof. Edna served in the State University and the private university for more than 30 years in various leadership capacity. She is an advocate of gender equality and safeguarding violence among women and children. As an educator, she led the introduction of e-learning in the organization, promoted teacher training in a nationwide and international scale, mainly in the areas of school management, inclusive education, and early childhood education. Her research focused on designing models for teacher training and evaluation of educational services of children with special needs. Her current passion is as an ambassador of Hope for Kids with Cancer and campaigning for the education of children and teens who are chronically ill in hospital-based school. Prof. Edna, it is an honor to have you with us today. How are you, Prof?
I'm great. So
Great.
I'm the last speaker for today.
The
So
floor
in
is yours.
case,
Yeah.
it's almost lunchtime for some of you. Just grab a bite and we'll continue with our session. So thank you for this opportunity of sharing some of the things that we do in the Philippines. So I am currently a professorial lecturer of the University of Southeastern Philippines and President Ambassadors of Hope, House of Hope Foundation for Kids with Cancer. So my session today will be about my experience as a volunteer of my current passion. So I have more years ahead of some of you. So let's not talk about those other years. And then perhaps we'll also talk about the experiences of others as a volunteer. So let me introduce my university. So next slide. So the university is a state university. So and so we are down south of the Philippines. And next slide. So our university partner with the House of Hope Foundation for Kids with Cancer, incorporated as part of its community extension program. So House of Hope Foundation for Kids with Cancer Incorporated has a vision of bringing hope to bring hope, live life, attain cure for children with cancer. So children with cancer belong under children who are chronically ill, which is part of special education. So as a foundation, we are an operating foundation supporting the Children Cancer Institute of Southern Philippines Medical Center, which is a tertiary government hospital with 1,000 beds, catering Southern Philippines. All right, so in this community extension program, next slide, there are children with cancer who reside in a transient home called House of Hope. So that is where the foundation's name came from, because the transient home was established because, as you know, the treatment for children with cancer takes a long time. And so they come in and out in the hospital, go home, and have outpatient services. And so a group of people realized that it is difficult for them to be looking for a house to stay. And so a transient home was set up in the campus of the hospital, and it was called House of Hope. So in 2013, volunteers working with the children realized that they received no schooling while undergoing treatment. As you know, when parents know that their children have cancer, they are they don't know what to do. And one of the things that they don't know what to do about is sending them to school, because hospitalization and treatment just takes a lot of toll in many ways. So the volunteers, who were university lecturers, pre-service teachers, and bank employees with whom we partner with, believed that these children were being excluded from their fundamental right to education services, which is guaranteed by the Philippine government. So we came up with a research and extension program establishing the hospital-based school, where for the first 2 or 3 years, university lecturers and pre-service teachers serve as instructors. Okay, next slide. But as it is, because it is a community extension program, there is a life to it. So in 2017 and onwards, the hospital-based school became the Dumanlas Elementary School SPMC Annex, a government school with classes by alternative delivery mode. So we found the school at the back of the hospital. It was the nearest elementary school, and we partnered with this elementary school. And eventually, the Department of Education owned up the program, and the university left the teaching part to them. And it was so great that they assigned teachers funded by the government, while the hospital provided space and materials, and all other things needed were shared by many stakeholders. All right. So it is in an alternative delivery mode, but just to be quick about it, it is not the usual class time. As you know, the children with cancer, after, especially when they have chemotherapy, they get dizzy, they have a hard time. So in general, the ADM that we're talking about is about 3 to 4 hours a day, maybe 4 days a week. All right, next slide, please. So although the school was established, we had to continue on our volunteer work, because there are other children with cancer all over the Philippines. And because the National Integrated Cancer Control Act was promulgated, we participated in the advocacy of setting up schools in tertiary hospitals. So in 2019, the implementing rules and regulations mentioned undertaking alternative education modalities for children and teens with cancer, so as not to disrupt their schooling. And so we look at this as a happy event. And we had started to talk to other tertiary hospitals, government tertiary hospitals, to establish a hospital-based school. But some things have been put on hold. However, now we are starting to talk again to 2 other hospitals, because classes will begin for this year in September. And we have a few more weeks and days. We hope we can begin 2 new programs, at least, or even just 1 new program for the coming days for children with cancer. All right. So now, this is about the partnership of the university and how my own, shall we say, journey in the volunteer work as far as children with cancer is concerned. So having been in the SPED program, I thought I had to walk the talk. I can't just be continuing training teachers. And so that's when my feet were on the ground, and by God's grace, the hospital-based school was established. All right. So now let me share some more things about my own journey. Next slide, please. So what are the types of volunteer work, which I seem to have gone through as I joined the House of Hope Foundation for Kids with Cancer. So there is the formal volunteer work as a hospital volunteer. I'll show you a slide later on about it, as well as a fundraiser that is considered a formal volunteer work. There is also the governance volunteer work as a member of the board of the foundation, where I am now a member of the board. But it is still volunteer work because it is unpaid. In fact, you have to draw from your own pocket, as some of you have probably experienced it. Now, there is also the non-formal as a guest instructor from time to time. So, but let us differentiate this from informal, because informal is not a volunteer work, but rather something like a kind deed. So we are talking here about volunteer work, which is non-formal in nature, meaning to say not often, not on a regular basis. Though there is also the social action, which is as a lobbyist for legislative work, which we have participated in the Republic Act that we have mentioned, and for some of us also in terms of ordinances, as well as an advocate specifically for children with cancer. Now, it could also be project-based as a member of the anniversary celebration, for instance, and others. So in a way, I have gone through all these types of volunteer work in the past few years, as far as this specific foundation is concerned. All right. Okay, now that it's the pandemic and we are in an emergency situation, the conditions of the volunteer work is changed. So I would like to share a few of them. All right. So let's go to the next slide. Okay. So to emphasize, which is I think two other speaker has already mentioned, volunteers, a priceless gift, and that volunteers are not paid, not because they're worthless, but because they are priceless. So once you start getting paid, you are no longer a volunteer, but a staff. Okay, so I think that is what we need to be clarified on. Okay, next slide, please. So here you are, the food aid during lockdown. This was in the early 2020. The whole nation was on lockdown about March and April. And the children and their guardians in our transient homes could not go home because you're not allowed to move from one city to another. Plus, we do not like the parents to be going to market to buy food and everything. Besides, sometimes the markets were on lockdown too. So we found the need to have food aid. So during that period, as you can see, we were able to give aid to the transient home, as well as the children cancer institutes where we are serving, because the parents there also, as you know, only the children have food. The guardians do not have food in the hospital, so it's not easy for them to be moving about. So the medical personnel, non-medical personnel. So these are some of the things that we were able to gather. So in cash and in kind, but there was just so much love going on that we thought we would only be providing food aid during lunch, but people would call us and say we would like to donate today, and we said it will have to be dinner. And someone would call, can I do it tomorrow? No, we're full this week. You'll have to do it next week. Can you imagine the hearts and then the love going on during that period? That this continued, really, the donation continued even up to today. But during that time, we found the need to be raising cash and in kind, because the community didn't know what to do. I mean, you know, we were all taken aback. The whole nation was in lockdown. All right, next slide, please. So this is also another way where we have the story of hope. We came up with a magazine, and to come up with a magazine, you need to have it printed. And so we have sponsors. And in the magazine are stories of hope about the children, as well as stories about the foundation itself. So this is still on print, but it's about to come out. Okay, next slide. This is another, the concert for a cause, where famous entertainers, we invited them and they joined us for free, as well as influencers serve as our advocates. This went on maybe for about 3 or 4 hours at one time, and they would be donating online. So this was early in 2020, maybe around the middle of 2020. All right, so that was one other area of fundraising, concert for a cause. And here's another one. Next slide, please. This is the bags of hope. Because our health is very important for our children. So the bags of hope are really care packages where you have face mask, face shield, alcohol, and others. And we had donations of in cash and in kind. And in kind, there was a grocery store which provided us with a good number of bags. And so that's why we were able to raise so many bags. And so all the children who were patients were given, the children and their families, and all new admissions were given. And for now, we still have some available, which we have somehow also managed to give to some of our personnel, for example, whose families uh, get COVID and all of that. So it's our way of sharing to them too. All right, next, please. So this is another one, the Plant for Hope. So as you know, people develop some hobbies during the pandemic. And one of the hobbies is plant growing. And so the plant industry really grew. And one of our members came up with this idea of a fundraising called Plant for Hope, where the plant growers donated the plants. And then, of course, this was an online selling. Okay, next slide. So this is the example of the online selling. So the donated plants are delivered to the venue days before the event. All plants solicited are labeled. Plants price range from $20 to $850. So actually, our fundraising team has shared the Plant for Hope to another NGO, I believe it's in Mongolia, because they were interested in it. And so they wanted us to share that the way by which it was done. So that's why it's now in dollars there. All shipping costs are covered by the buyer and will be facilitated by a third-party shipping service. As you know, during this pandemic, the delivery business became popular, like food service and all of that. And so this was also this particular project also utilized that. And so the duration of the online event was around 7 hours. It was really quite exciting. I wish where there was time to view the video, especially for the next slide. The next slide is the bidding, where there was a bidding for rare plants for 5 minutes. So it was placed at $440. But at the end of 5 minutes, it was raised to $800. So that is how exciting exciting it was, and will probably be exciting for you too if you were right there viewing it. So that is Plant for Hope as an example of some of the things going on during this pandemic time. All right, so let's move on. So we now have prayer warriors because we are not allowed to go to the hospitals nor go to the home and have our usual activities. So the head nurse would provide us with the names of new admissions, and we let the families know that we are still with them during these times in various ways, one of which is to pray for good health and recovery and for their own strength and safety. Next slide. Before the pandemic, this is what we would do as hospital volunteers, just to give you an idea. For example, on the left, there is a playtime in the playroom. So the children are really happy about this, where they can live the confines of the hospital. As you know, the cancer is long-term. Some children stay in the hospital for a month, 2 months, depending on their condition, coming in and out of laboratory and that. So they really find this a, a joy to be allowed to play in the play area, and we can have a storytelling and the like. The middle one is we have arts and crafts, especially for the teens, which they like in various ways. This one is about origami making. Specifically, in this particular picture, they are doing origami for the crane, crane, which has a story in Japan where if you are able to make 1,000 cranes, that will bring good health and peace. So not everyone could get up from their beds. So they made enough for everyone. And so the hospital wards were decorated with the cranes. So it was nice to see the cranes flying there beside their tubes and everything. All right, so on the right is another example of what we used to do if we were allowed to go to the hospital, which is called Look Good, Feel Good, as you know, the hair of the children after chemo fall. And so we need hairstylists to put them in proper order. And so every other month, we would have a volunteer hairstylist come, and we also included parents and the caregivers, and we even take pictures of the before and after, so it becomes like a happy event for everyone. So this is just to show you some of the things that we could do once our emergency situation is over. We could go back to this. All right, next slide, please. So volunteer activities by other groups. So there are still other things that the foundation is doing, but I also would like to share what others are doing. So for example, we have the Brigade Escuela, or the school brigade, and I have a slide for that later on. We have the online tutorials is one. You know, some of the NGOs that I contacted, due to their internal policy, they did not want to share pictures and all the like. So I'm just now having a rundown. So they have online tutorials. So they have volunteer tutors, and their children could have one-on-one online tutorial. Then the Happy Walk, or the Walk with Me, like a fun run, where your registration fee goes to the organization. That we couldn't do that because of the pandemic. So what they did, for example, one innovation was to do a happy walk around their village, and they will be holding on their poster, and so the advocacy continues, and there would be a line there which says for donations, so donations would continue. Online yoga could also be done during pandemic period, especially for those for children who need some muscle development. Webinars, of course, is popular as well as others. Okay, next slide, please. So here is what we mean by school brigade. Although up to now, the government has said that there will be no face-to-face classes. So in general, in the public school, it is in self-instructional modules. There are printed materials. In private school, it is in online blended learning, but they prepared the usual practice is to prepare the school. So they still continued to do school brigade to prepare. God knows we might be given a chance to have face-to-face classes anytime. All right, so next slide, please. So here is another example of another NGO. So they were able to provide me with pictures because the children are all at home. They're self-instructional modules. They pick it. Their parents pick them up, or they pick them up in their schools, and they do their work at home. And their teachers, in general, teachers get in touch with them by a video call and things like that, and their exercises are their screenshot, and they have an interaction. That's how it is. So this NGO thought of having a minute library. So you have a mini library. So this is even smaller than mini library. So it's minute library, but it's really a quaint example, and it's easy to do from one village to the next. So you have there an example of how they're preparing the shelves. And so the children can now have some storybooks. And you can see the lady in red. She is the volunteer in the community to look after the books, which is beside her neighborhood variety store. Okay, and then every month they replenish the book. So this project has been going on for a few months. Okay, next slide. So here is another one where they were able to organize parents from Indonesia through Zoom meetings and all of that. So this is from PABIC, the Philippine Parent Advocates for Visually Impaired Children. So they were able to successfully organize the parents in Indonesia during this emergency situation, which is very innovative of them. Okay. Next slide. So as a closing note, as we help others, we cannot help but help ourselves. Okay, so I think this is what we have been trying to share with you, that somehow we become better as people as we help others. And for inquiries, in our next slide is House of Hope Foundation for Kids with Cancer. That is our website, and that is our contact. Should you have questions about children with cancer and what we do, should you have questions about the school and how alternative delivery mode is done, and others. Terima kasih. Thank you.
Terima kasih. Thank you, Prof. Edna, for your valuable sharing. Well, time definitely flies so fast when you're having so much fun. So before we end, there is a question for all panelists from Tuan Haji Zulkarnain Wahab. Can you share how do we embrace the new normal and continue with volunteering? Perhaps suggestions on strategies and approaches. That is Tuan Haji Zulkarnain's question to all panelists. So perhaps we can start with Dr. Donnie. Can you share how do we embrace the new normal and continue with volunteering? Perhaps suggestions on strategies and approaches.
Okay, thank you, Puan Suhaila, and also for the very important question. I think that first thing is volunteerism is activity that gives hope. So for us, it's very important for us volunteers itself to have a positive mindset. Yes, we would like to be on the ground. Yes, we will like to meet people face to face. We like to see smiles on each other. We like to have emotional bonds with one another. We like to dine and eat with one another. But unfortunately, on a virtual platform, we have a lot of limitations on this. So I think that one of the most important criteria is to have a positive mind and for us to embrace new ways of doing things online, which might not be as impactful as how we will like it to be in a face-to-face environment. But what is the end result? Is that making a difference to that person? Is that making a difference to the current situation? So if that's the difference, for me, that's a winning formula itself.
Thank you, Dr. Donnie, for your feedback. Well said, Doctor. That's excellent. So can we have from Miss Adila or Mrs. Aya? Mrs. Aya?
Yes, can you hear me? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, just like Mr. Donny said, we can touch people's life everywhere, even in emergency situation, in normal situations. So every time we have opportunity to do that, just to do that. Yeah, that's all I can say.
Thank you, Mrs. Aya. And can we have one last one from Prof. Edna?
All right.
Like, how do we embrace the new
Same
norm?
question. Well, first of all, you have to take care of your health. I think that is what is foremost. And with the Delta variant, it's really a challenge now. And as I mentioned to you, we're still not allowed to face in schools. And for me, as a senior citizen, I would like to recognize that it has really been difficult. Can you imagine us raising funds just using social media? Social media has really been very helpful. And my gosh, I am just so overwhelmed by the love of people when we have a campaign and through social media, and they would say yes. It's fantastic. And we, as I mentioned, even our own members uh, get get to have a COVID, and it's always devastating. And let me say, among our children, can you imagine, our children are very vulnerable. That's why we are not really allowed to step there because they're very susceptible, as well as their families. So we're doing our best to be able to share what we can. So I think that's what I would like to emphasize for now. Social media has been very helpful. Saying hello, uh, saying happy birthday, telling them, praying for them, and all of that, and doing our best for the fundraising, because, as you know, cancer is very expensive. The medicine is uh, very expensive. And in addition, we're doing our best to get our grants renewed, which we have been lucky so far. Our grants from the US, from the UK has been renewed. And we're still doing our best to look for other grants to go on with what's going on in this emergency. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Edna. Thank you to all our distinguished panelists for today. Please stay with us till the end for the certificate giveaway and photo session. Before I invite the Deputy Director of Simulsan to deliver his closing remarks, allow me to share about our upcoming pre-conference webinar entitled Parent Empowerment on Remote Learning for Students with Disabilities. And we have our speakers, Mr. David Lester from Nisai Group, United Kingdom, as well as Mr. Silatul Rahim from Malaysia Society for the Blind, and Puan Siti from Parent Intervention Group of Genius Kurnia. This pre-conference webinar is free of charge and open to all. At the same time, if you know any parents and educators of students with special educational needs from the private sector, please nominate them by sharing their email address here with us in our chat box. Or if you are not sure of their email address, or if you want to get their consent first, we highly suggest you share your email address in the chat box, and we will send you further details of the pre-conference webinar, and from there you can forward our email to them. Thank you so much for your amazing cooperation. Now, it is an honor to invite the Deputy Director of SEN, who have been providing his full support for this webinar. Thank you, Dr. Azilis, for your wonderful contribution of ideas and knowledge and for making this webinar a success. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm honored to invite Dr. Muhammad Azilis to deliver his closing remarks. Please welcome Dr. Azilis. Doctor, the floor is yours.
Assalamualaikum and good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Ms. MC, Senior Sen Organizing Committee, our speakers for today, Prof. Dr. Edna Jalot-Jod, Dr. Donnie Adams, Mrs. Elia Wardani, and Mrs. Nur Adilah Izzati Adnan, and to all participants from SIMEO member countries. It is indeed a pleasure for me to be here with everyone today. Alhamdulillah, we have reached the end of the webinar. I would like to congratulate all of you for your efforts to join this webinar from all over the region. In accordance with SIMEO Sen's objective, which is promoting teacher capacity building for the benefit of the special education community, this time around, SIMEO Sen aims to create awareness and advocate volunteerism for the community with special needs. I hope all of you have an insightful understanding on how to explore volunteering for community with special needs during emergencies. I hope this webinar benefit all of you and give knowledge and relevant pointers on how to start, manage, and to navigate the volunteering activities or programs for the community with special needs. Besides, these inputs will definitely help to empower environments for volunteers serving in emergency and manage the influx of volunteers responding to emergencies both locally and internationally. I also hope that after this, all of you will be able to create awareness about volunteering for disability within your community as well. Important initiatives like this should be reciprocated and emphasized wider and beyond. Last but not least, on behalf of SIMEO Sen, I would like to express my appreciation to our speakers for their dedication to share about their knowledge and experience on volunteerism in special needs communities. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Dr. Azilis. Sadly, we have come to an end of our webinar. People choose to volunteer for a variety of reasons. For some, it offers the chance to give something back to the community or make a difference to the people around them. While for others, it provides an opportunity to develop new skills or build on existing experience and knowledge. Therefore, we hope that the aim of this webinar for us together to find out more on the benefits, challenges, impacts, and how you can make a difference in volunteering to the community with special needs during emergencies around you have been achieved. Please be reminded that the link to the evaluation form is now shared in the chat box for you to fill up, and you have approximately 2 hours from now to do so. Only when the evaluation form is completed, you will receive your e-certificate of participation. And also, I would like to encourage all of you to follow us on our social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube for more updates on our upcoming programs. Now, before we close the session, it is an honor to invite the Director of SIMEO Sen, Dr. Haja Hanani Harun Rasid, to give away the e-certificate of appreciation to all our speakers for today. We shall start with Dr. Donnie Adams. Doctor, a few words from you, please.
Firstly, I would like to thank Dr. Hanani, SIMEO Sen, and Dr. Azilis, and also to the moderator, Puan Suhaila, and all the speakers. And I believe that today, if we are tuning in for the first time to know about volunteering, we have made a good start. And I believe that we have an absolute amazing group of people who are following this webinar today. And I believe they all are in the same spirit, and we are all with the same intention, that is to bring hope and to bring love and bring care to the community that we are involved in. And today, especially on community with special needs. And I'd like to thank Simeo-sen, especially for organizing this webinar on a very particular topic. And I personally, even though I was one of the speakers, I personally enjoyed the other speakers sharing as well. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Donny. Thank you for joining us. Hope to see you again, yeah, Doctor. Okay, next, Dr. Haja Hanani to give away the certificates to Miss Nur Adila. Miss Nur Adila, a few words from you, please.
Hi. Thank you again for the opportunity for me to spread more awareness about volunteering for special need children, special need communities. I learned a lot from other speakers as well, and I hope that this webinar will inspire more people to become a volunteer. It doesn't matter what you are in or who you are. You can just be a volunteer. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Miss Nur Adila. Okay, next, Dr. Hanani to give away the certificate to Mrs. Aya. Mrs. Aya, a few words from you, please.
Yes, thank you for the opportunity to participate in this webinar and meet very wonderful people, Dr. Edna, Dr. Donny, and Adila also. I learned a lot from this session, and I also feel the positive vibe, the love spreading, and hopefully in the future, we will meet again and do something to make a difference. So let's touch other people's life with our heart in volunteering. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Aya. And of course, to Prof. Dr. Edna, please welcome Prof. Edna to receive your certificate of appreciation from Dr. Hanani. Prof. Edna, a few words from you, please.
Well, it's been a great day. It's been a wonderful day and a blessed day. And I think you put up, congratulations to the organizing team. You put up a good session today, a good mix of speakers. But I am most grateful of the inspiration that I got from each one, that especially now really needed so much. There's so much sadness going on, but today's session was an inspiring one. So I think this will be good. It's good for me. It's good for me to continue on the volunteer work in very innovative ways. I think that is what I would like to add. Continue to be a volunteer in innovative ways, which I have found other organizations have done so. I just wish there was more chance to share it. But thank you for today, and congratulations.
Thank you, Prof. Edna, and thank you to all the panelists. Thank you, Dr. Hanani, all our speakers, and of course to all of you here from Malaysia, Philippines, Indonesia, Vietnam, Cambodia. We have from China, India, from all around the world. Thank you so much for joining us. Also, a million thanks to all of these amazing group of people who have been working so hard for this event. Thank you, everyone, for your amazing effort. Thank you, Simeo-san. And before we end today's webinar, allow me to share another special poem to all volunteers and future volunteers and those who are inspired to become volunteers. Thank you for being a volunteer. We are privileged to work with you. We want you to know how appreciated you are, not just today, but the whole year through. With that, thank you for joining us. Don't forget to fill out your evaluation form. Stay safe, take good care, and thank you. I would like to remind you that only participants who fill up the completed evaluation form will be granted with the e-certificate of participation. For any inquiries, please email us at webinar@simyosen.org, and we will be more than glad to attend to any of your questions or suggestions. Thank you so much, everyone. Stay safe and take good care.